I've gotten enough shit now that I've committed to a hat strike.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm
Like
gonna try
backward hat strike?
any hat.
You're not going hat at all?
The only time
I'm going hat today.
I know the only time.
Hang on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was questioning it.
I think your hair's fine.
Yeah,
we always
I know,
talk
but
about
I just
this.
feel I feel like I need one today.
I know we always
Not because I need to look like I feel like I'm more secure right now.
That's fine.
I don't know what that means.
I've gotten enough shit now about the hat that I'm gonna try for a month to not wear a hat at all unless I'm in the gym. Like if I'm working out to keep it out of. I normally wear a bandana though in the gym, but if I need a hat to manage the lid, then
Why? Sorry, dude. Why did you? You're getting. Who's giving you shit about it though? Like everyone.
Not everyone in the whole world,
Right.
but a select group. Like it started with Mac. Mac was giving me shit about it on the bench, and I'm like, yeah, I get your point. Dan's been giving me shit about it a little bit. My girlfriend's trying to get me to figure out a hairstyle to like not have to wear a hat. So I'm gonna commit to trying to do it. I've never had long hair though. Short hair is way easier to manage, but my Christine likes the long hair to a degree. And I kind of want to cut it, but she kind of likes it. And you know how we talk about you want your partner to think that you're attractive overall. So I want to make sure that she's happy with my hairstyle. So I'm trying to entertain keeping it long.
Yeah.
And I'm taking the.
But you want it to be short. You're caught between a dog and a fire hydrant.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Can't win.
And so enough people have pointed out that they think I should not wear a hat for me to say, okay, I'm going to try. So
I agree.
So I'm going to try.
I feel like an ass wearing a hat today.
No, but you're not the hat guy.
I'm not at all.
Right. So
I'll
you don't
take it. I'll do this like in 10 minutes.
You don't have the same issue
It's
that
a
I
Guelph
have.
Storm hat, by the way.
I've been consistently wearing hats. Yeah. I've been consistently wearing hats for I would say the majority of my adult life.
Oh man, I can't do it.
Yeah. I like it. You know why? I don't like having stuff in my hair. I don't like having hair product. I don't like having to do it. I just don't like it. So I'd much rather just throw a chapeau on and move on with life and not have to worry about it. But
you get the Jared Bednar look.
Who's Jared Bednar?
Coach of Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Now that I'm looking at it, she's got this. Oh, not the same. He doesn't have the curls, but you haven't seen him?
No. Jared Bednar.
Got the good locks.
Oh yeah, the middle part.
Yeah.
That's a head, eh? Holy. He's got like a big face.
Yeah, he's a tough.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah. What's going on? What's new and fresh in the life of Andy? I haven't had you on for 2 weeks now. We did.
I know. When I got next week, I'm going to book Terry Chitteroni. Yeah, we'll get him on here.
I had Matt Dumichel on last week. Man, he's like it was a really good discussion with him. We were talking about he did that podcast, The Hockey Factories. And so we were just talking about kind of the ins and outs of a bunch of those places and what kind of what makes them successful. You got something.
Well, yeah, as I'm thinking about that, it kind of like what I wanted to say is because this morning it's just so funny. You just said hockey factories. Hockey factories triggered me to think back of the talent code. The talent code makes me think about that success leaves clues. And this morning, I was revisiting something that a lot of the kids should have got from a skill development standpoint. They should have had it nailed down. But the problem is not enough of them pay attention to the details. So speaking of that, you said hockey factories. So he's been around studying different development models around the world. So he's found that some things are interesting in certain places. They do certain things and whatever. So it's like the talent code. There's success leaves clues, right? Success leaves clues. So if you look at like different pockets of the world or different coaches or different environments, there's a success factory sometimes. And sometimes it comes from places where the population isn't big, but they have like per capita, like spitting out hockey players or accountants or whatever it is that you're doing, right? And or there's patterns, right? So like one of the things that you'll notice, like if people pay attention to my better students is, and this is what I'm on them all the time, is that when they have a puck in the offensive zone or even passing, is that I'm trying to eliminate all dust, like no stick handling, as much as you possibly can, and that by the focus of that being one of our things, it's like an actual really good habit. And if anyone's to pay attention of our players that we work with, they're going to notice that that's a pattern. It's something that is a high focus, right? So you'll notice someone else that does just maybe you have a skills coach that's a 10-2 guy that just loved teaching 10-2s, and all of a sudden you see like things come out of that coach where there's a little bit more usage of that. Like everyone's got an expertise and stuff. Anyway, so you look around the world and you'll see Sweden does like maybe as defensemen or these big giant defensemen that are really good or forwards that are really good, and Russia has goal scoring machines and all that kind of stuff. My point is that long point is I get frustrated sometimes as a coach, but it's okay. Is that you have to continue to go back and like with some of the players and really try to get them to understand that this number one step that we're doing here is really, really important for everything else that we do, because skills blend, right? So for example, and I've said this before on the podcast, but it's worth repeating. When we do toe drags, which is not a toe drag, it's just it's the movement of a toe drag, or reaching with the puck, which is a combination of hand movement, right? Bottom hand, top hand pressure, bottom hand like a little bit light, changing your spots on the stick, and also weight transfers and stuff like that. And you work in unison. There's a reason to do that. So like I explain that to every year. When a new crop of kids come along, I teach them that. Okay, we're going to work on toe drags or expanding your reach, right? But I said it's not so you can toe drag guys, although it can be. But that's not the purpose of it. It's for so many other reasons. Because within that toe drag, front, side, that around your body and stuff, all you're basically doing is learning to have reach with the puck and learning that to use your hands and feet to work together so that you're not off balance and that you can create more space and transfer your weight properly and stuff. And that works for stick handling, it works for shooting, it works for passing, and all that stuff. So anyways, when you show the first steps, what I like to do is to take a very slow approach, because it needs to be slow. That when you do skill building, fast is not necessarily the best way to do it, because your brain has to be bought in, right? So learning something slow, so let's just say like expanding your reach with a toe drag, right? Like understanding that you're pushing with your top hand and your bottom hand's like a guide until it needs to have pressure applied to it, and then expanding your reach, your footwork has to match that, right? So I can't do it on a camera here, but it has to match that. And if you don't do it correctly, then then you're not doing the movements properly as we build on that. So taking a slow approach of really pushing with let's say I'm a left-handed, so I want to push out. So when I push out with my top hand, my top and bottom hand, but my top hand is going to be in all control, I should be also transferring my weight from my right to my left, right? So that I'm pushing and I'm reaching, as my body's not fighting my legs aren't fighting my upper body. So, okay, that's the first actual step. So you can do that stationary. You can do it from the side. You can do it to the front. You can do a combo of all that kind of stuff, and do it slow so that you have a good feel. But most people, like it's kids. I'm not trying to specify an age, but there's a point where something doesn't work and we have to go back to A. So I like them to spend the time and have the patience to get through an hour of very slow movement work, so that they have good feel and it's a natural movement no matter what. So that when we add a different skill to it, it's like, oh, it's this plus this, or this plus this. Like it's a natural reaction. So today I was showing, we were doing some different shooting, but then today I was doing an odd angle shot, which would keep the puck in front of you off a pass or making a move would be in front of you. So what most people that have not worked on proper expanding your reach and stuff, what they do is instead of like what they do to shoot the puck is they have to pull it into their feet stick handle again and then get it to where the sweet spot is. Whereas I was showing if you understood your expanding your reach, your toe drags, whatever you call it, you can catch a pass way out here and it's all one movement. It could come in and off with the pull in and stuff. So I was saying that was a long-winded thing to say when you're learning a skill, especially if you have someone explaining why, like you get that they know what they're doing, you should really pay attention to the smallest details and get the beginning stages of those details, because it's going to help translate into all different skill sets. Do you know what I mean? So like, and I told them that, I said, like, if you guys would have actually, instead of just hurrying through this part, as a group, you could see some guys just want to get busy doing something else, but they gave up so much by not taking the 1 hour to really, really hone in and then add to that skill. And it's so you got to keep revisiting, and it's like, wow. And my thing is like, when, like I said, success leaves clues. And when you have someone teaching, like, so for example, we have with our BioSteel Academy, Dan has really taken a step into the business. Like, so Dan is actually the owner of BioSteel, and he's a really smart guy, bright guy, really like him, right? Like, and a real personable guy. But like, the bottom line is that he knows how to run a company. And then since he stepped in, like, just cleaning up some stuff that we do, like anybody here, including myself, can learn just how he attacks things and his mindset. Don't just try to get through the business. Like, if you actually just watch his steps and ask some questions and just step back for a second and don't skip the little details that he's teaching us from a business perspective and from a sales perspective, and like, you're going to understand why he's successful. Like, even the last week or two, you could just say, okay, this is what makes him different, right? So when you're having a coach that knows what they're doing, and I suggest this to kids all the time, especially as you get to the junior levels, like youth hockey coaches don't necessarily know things inside out. They're just sometimes just coaching. But when you have a professional coach, a skills coach, someone that's worked with people, someone that can explain why you're doing something and give you little details, it's like you might want to really hone in on what they're saying and make sure you get it as perfect as you can, so that you can build on those skill sets. And that's the problem. A lot of kids, a lot of players, a lot of people in business, whatever, they want to skip over the stuff and a businessman just wants to become rich. It's like, there's all those steps to becoming that, right? Successful. And the same with on the ice. There's a lot of steps to doing a skill set. So anyways, I'm done.
No,
I'm going home.
No, I got a lot of directions to go. I have several thoughts that tail off that. I don't know if I have a point necessarily, so I'm just going to kind of ramble a little bit, but I want to stick on the point of like the kid's ability to pay attention to the details, because that's something that I've noticed so I have two like bigger workout groups right now in the gym. So I have the older kids, which is their grade 11 and 12. And then I have the grade 9s and 8s. Okay. So I have some of the grade 10s up with the grade 11s and 12s as well. So grade 9s and 8s and some grade 7s are a group, and then the older guys are a group. And the difference in their ability to listen to what I'm saying is so big, even though like they're actually not that far apart in age. It's just so the difference is so vast. So like when we were doing some sprint start drills today, and just my explaining the like very basic steps of what you're supposed to do, the older kids just grasp and the younger kids just don't. So the things that I have to reinforce with the younger group is like how to set up properly. So if I say, hey, yeah, face the left, right foot on the ground, that like is very straightforward. Like face that way, your right foot is here. And it'll be like they'll face the wrong way and their left foot is up, you know? And so the ability for them to actually comprehend the detail that we're talking about is just not there yet for a lot of them. And so what I've found, like, I guess maybe my point of saying that's for me is I'm allowing them more space with the younger ages to just explore what I'm asking without being so caught up on them doing it 100% correct. So when we're doing these sprint start variations, I would have to stop every 5 seconds. Like we wouldn't even be able to do any of the drills because I would be stopping every single time to make correction. And so for me with the younger group versus the older group, I'm way more lenient about them doing things incorrect to a degree. Like as long as it's not something dangerous or so wrong that it like is like completely not serving any purpose whatsoever. If they're kind of in the ballpark, but it's kind of wrong, but more like closer to being right than wrong, but it's still kind of wrong, I just let them explore it and figure it out because they don't have the comprehension skills. They don't have some of the body awareness skills. And like, that's part of it. Like we're skill building in some of this and some of these movements. Whereas with the older kids, if I'm doing a sprint start, I can really dial in on them. Like for right now, because we're so early in the off season, that it's about mechanics. It's not about 100% speed and explosiveness right now. It's about the mechanics, getting off the ground properly, pushing properly, knee driving properly, forward lean properly, all those things. And so whereas later in the season or in the off season, it would be more about that explosiveness. And so I can focus on the point of the exercise with the older kids. Whereas with the younger kids, I'm just focusing on what the exercise even is, like how to do some version of the exercise in general. So it's like they aren't even at the point where they can do the exercise for the purpose. They're just trying to figure out how to do the exercise in general first, right? So when you're talking about their ability to dial in on the details, depending on the age we're talking about, it's such a challenge. And this is why you have to continually go back and reteach the same stuff. And part of the frustration of being a skills coach is it's frustrating for us, but it's just part of the process. Like you have to recycle and go back. So like one of the comments I was hearing today is we were doing a scapular, like a retraction drill, which is really difficult for kids that don't know how to use their shoulder blades. So for the older kids, it's about the mobility of the shoulder blades. For the younger kids, it's about learning where your shoulder blades are and how to even use them.
Yeah, how to activate
exactly.
them. Yeah.
So I'm showing the one of our girls today was in the gym, and she was go from like a dead hang, so your elbows are totally locked out, and you're just trying to move just from your scaps. And she wasn't really getting it. She kind of was like bending the elbows while she was doing it, whatever. But at the bottom of the movement, I didn't even say anything to her. I wasn't correcting her. I was just letting her play around with the exercise. And she just made the comment to one of the other girls that I feel so long when I'm doing the movement. Like that was what she just said in passing. And I just happened to hear it as I was walking by. And I was like, okay, so she figured out how to actually release and like let herself sit as long as possible at the bottom of the movement. And that's part of learning the movement. So if I go into it thinking you need to, have this movement down and perfect and to the exact way I'm explaining it, some of them just won't be able to do it. For her, this was the first time she's ever felt herself actually fully relax her torso to allow her shoulder blades to go down, or in this case, and go up to release so that the rest of herself can elongate. Like she's never felt that sensation before. So it's like I'm trying to explain to you how to do this, and this is how you're supposed to do the movement, but you've never felt what any of these body parts are with any kind of actual awareness. And so when we're talking about back to the toe drag example, it's like they're shooting it out and you're saying, no, like you have to let your bottom hand has to slide. Your bottom hand has to slide. Your bottom hand has to slide. And like, they don't understand what sliding the bottom hand from the elbow, from the shoulder, what does that actually feel like? So like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like move my bottom hand. I get that. It's like, well, yeah, but it's also coming from your elbow. It's also coming from your shoulder. And if you haven't made that connection yet with your mind, there's a lot to it. So like I just spent,
or the other thing is they think that they know already. So that's the other point. That's the other point is they think, well, I already done this before. I know how to do it, but it's not done correctly or properly. Right. So that's like, so I overcome that by making them remove their bottom hand. And now we start with that. Yeah. So that you have to do your upper body. And then if it doesn't work, then it's still a combination with your lower body. Right. And then you add the bottom line. But anyways, but I know what you're saying. But then the other side is like, are you actually listening to it?
So I guess
and that's the youth thing again. Right. I know.
And like bringing it full circle, I guess that's my point. Is like there's kind of these two pieces 100%. That as a coach,
100%.
as whoever is the teacher that you're juggling of like, okay, on the one hand, I know they can only listen so much. On the other hand, I know that they're going to be in a rush because they just want to shoot the puck or they just want to go to the next thing.
They want to come and work hard.
Yeah, exactly. So
skate, piss around.
Yeah. So it's kind of balancing those things as a coach. I guess maybe that's my point, is at the end of it is like on the point that you're making about actually trying to get them to listen and slow down and buy in. And then on the other hand, grasping and understanding the fact that they can only do that so much. And to a degree, it's just going to be let them feel the reps.
Yeah. So
right?
It goes back to, like, so if this is an issue, or if you want to call it an issue, if this is an issue with a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old, that they don't listen real well, or they don't sit there and absorb information the way you want them to, and with players that are pretty good, or pretty good and above, right? Then, to your point exactly, is you have to let them just do something anyways. Like, you can't just sit there and correct every little thing. You got to let them try, fail, and see who's gonna pick up the good stuff and who's gonna listen and pay attention. But if they don't, if they're even in the ballpark of doing something, then they're in the ballpark of doing something. So if you can't get that really done really well at 13, 14, 15, 16, what do you think is happening at 5, 6, 7, 8? And this is my point, when people are like, teach hockey and do all these different drills, and the more talking you do, it's like they just need the reps. So when you're doing a skill development process for a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old, it's not about how specific it is. It's like, carry the puck, something like this, turn to your right, and then if you can and try to come out of the crossover with your head up and speed, that's a lot. Yeah. And if they turn left, they turn left. They only turn one way, it's one way. What you're doing is just trying to get them to do something. When you're doing those young guys, I think mostly by default, by doing a lot of reps of, skating, turning, handling the puck, shooting, adding stuff into it, it's just, that's how you're going to get better.
Yeah.
Not real specific.
But an analogy too that just kind of came to mind, because I know this happens in school, just as one example. Like, if you go to a kid that's in like grade 5 and you say, hey kid, write an essay. It's like, but I can't write yet. Yeah. Like I can't even write. So they don't even have a frame. Like, they first need the tool to do the task that you're asking. If they don't have the tool yet, they can't use the tool. So if you're saying stick handle with your head up, and it's like, I don't even know how to stick handle yet. It's like, I can't do stick handle plus. I can't do shoot plus. I can't do pass plus, skate plus. I can't do it yet. I don't have the tool to do what you're asking. And so there's not like a lot of tolerance at the younger, well, I shouldn't say it that way. At the younger ages, like, people, I think, overlook or maybe get that desire to maybe be in a rush to get to the next teaching point and the next step and the next thing that they need to learn. It's like, yeah, but they're not solid on what they're doing yet.
Well, so add in instruction while they're trying to do that. I was just thinking about this the other day because we had so many texts going on. But think about this: if a coach or a parent wants to actually understand what we're talking about, is I'm horrible on the phone. Like, when I have to text someone, it's like pull the hat down,
yeah.
Tongue comes out.
Yeah,
I'm horrible, right? So there's people around me all weekend, right? Like family. No, I'm not saying that in a bad way. So talking and all that stuff, but I also had to answer all these texts that we were going through, and there was like plus with the texting, plus trying to understand that, plus people talking to me.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man! Yeah. I'm going nuts. Like, yeah. I'd go, okay, so we'd be talking like this, and I'd be like, oh, just a second, got to get this, and then you finish your sentence, and most people are like, yeah, but I and actually a lot of people do that. You talk to them, and they're like stuck here, doing the task, right? So you take that as a hockey player, right? You're sitting there, you want me to absorb your words, but I've got my phone and I'm texting or I'm reading something here. It's like, you got one ass, you can't ride two horses, right? You can't do it. So it's like, something's got to give. So if you got a kid skating now or trying to do a drill, he's actually texting. He's sitting there putting a sentence together, like, right? He's thinking and thinking and thinking, and then he might hear what you're saying. Go, huh? What? I'm trying to do my task.
Exactly.
So that's part of the thing too. So when you're teaching kids in youth hockey, like, just remember that when you're having them do something, let them do it, because the more that you talk, it's just like you're splitting hairs here.
Yeah. Oh, so maybe kind of tailing off of that, what I'm doing right now in the gym is obviously, I think everybody's done playing now, at least for youth hockey. Like all the, I think playoffs and provincials and everything are done for everybody.
A lot of camps are starting
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So especially down with the youth levels, but now I guess we can kind of touch on with the kids that have junior camps coming up and all that stuff. It kind of just feels like there's never really a break. And so for me, like in the gym, I'm trying to stress to all the kids that right now it's not about going 100% your fastest, your hardest, your like maximum intensity. I kind of bring it back to more of like, okay, we're trying to build skills. Like we're trying to fix movement patterns and learn new ways of, especially with these younger kids, like they're not very coordinated. They're not balanced on one leg. They're not easily able to do complex movements with their body in a fluid and efficient form the way they're supposed to. So I'm taking this time to kind of back off or try to get them to understand to back off the intensity and turn their brain on more, to like think about how it feels to do movements, how it feels to do certain things, trying to focus on what you're, like you said with the guys on the ice today, like trying to focus on the details I'm giving you, the teaching points I'm giving you, and actually executing the movement properly. So that's been my focus in the gym for the last several weeks for some that have been done, and then for some that have just finished a couple weeks ago, now getting them into that mindset. And so as things kind of should be slowing down, let's say, and we're getting into more of the off-season type of mindset, what are your thoughts on, I guess generally speaking, the like volume of work? Like what are we thinking? What are we doing? Where should our minds be now that it's like off season is like here? You know, like some kids are in tryouts right now, and that'll be done by the end of this week, and then it's like should be like some, okay, hockey is complete for this past season now. So what are some of your thoughts about that? Just like the working into the off season kind of mindset with the season being over.
Just, you know what, I feel bad for a lot of these kids that don't have a solid plan. Like if you're drafted or you play for an OHL team, like my kid's been home for a couple of weeks and then he just got the itch, right? So it's been 3 weeks. Like this is his third week home, maybe 3.5. And it's like, okay, I got to start. And I thought that was good. And and for him, or for anyone, I think if you start getting past, especially youth, I think if you get past the 3 week, I don't want to say doing nothing, but you, I, I, uh, I encourage like the week that you're done hockey or two to really not do much. Like it's okay, like rest and just eat and get your mind off a whole bunch of stuff. But I just think as youth, once you start getting to week 3, because it's about habits more than anything, is let's make sure that we're moving a little bit. I'm not saying you have to go nuts, right? But you got to make sure you're in the habit of, okay, like it just shows yourself that you care about being in shape. Not hockey, not being on the ice necessarily, but being in hockey. Like I care about my sport and my body. Charlie was saying like a couple of his coaches after practice work out every time. They're not lifting like heavy, but they're in good shape, right? And one coach every now and then jumps in. One played in the NHL for a long time. One played for a while, but the one that played for a long time, just like he's done it before. But he says, but Dad, you see him jump on the bike, or it's every week or whatever. He gets like a couple day commitment. I go, yeah, and we just talked about it this morning. I said, you know why? Because he cares about, like, he just knows what he's supposed to feel like. It's like myself. I said he's probably so busy, but he wants to rededicate himself to, because it'll never hurt you to work out every day. So he probably sits there and goes, okay, I got to jump on the bike again. I'm just going to keep the weight off because he's in what's programmed to make sure he feels good about his body. He's aware of it, right? So I think kids that get home after 3 weeks, if you're lounging around too much, it's like, okay, you have to get your ass out of bed. Like there's a little bit of discipline just to get moving, and it just shows that you care about yourself. And then from that, it's like no. So that's the guy that played in the OHL or whatever pro. You got that time off, and you rehab it, right? Like the kids. I feel bad for the kids that are going into junior that don't have a concrete plan, because it's almost like they're running around to so many camps and they're just beating themselves up even more. So anyways, after, I would say 100% when your season's over is to take 2 to 3 weeks and really ease your way in and get into And if you're going to do anything, is to get into that rehab, not rehab, but maybe it is a rehab. Like just what would the word be?
Oh, like active recovery.
Yeah, recovery mode.
Yeah.
Like you take some weight off your hips,
So
take your weight off your lower back.
So, say a little more about like, okay, you get home and let's say, or whatever, even if you are in youth hockey and it's just like tryouts are over now, and like you kind of know what you're doing the next season and whatever. So what does take a break actually mean? Like when we say do nothing, active recovery, like some of these things, like give me like a practical, like give me an example of like what does nothing look like, and then give me what does it look like to start to get back into it. So those two pieces, like what does a break actually mean? And then how do I start to get back into it? What should I actually do? What's just one example of what it might look like? And maybe try to highlight like why is the break actually important? And if like you want to use anyone that you know has played as an example, like why is that actually
Yeah, well, we take our
important?
junior guys, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, the thing is that you almost have to put your passion of the game, or your maybe it's passion, but maybe it's the you think you have to do something all the time. I don't know. For some kids, I don't know what the difference is. Some kids are like pressured to feel like they'll only fall behind if they don't do something. But anyways, what I would say is you want to, if you've been heavily invested in the game and it's emotional, or you care so much about your hockey, at the end of the season, it's the end of the season. It's the end of the season for a reason. And I think it's very important to be able to be like number one, sad or happy of the outcomes. And most times you're going to be sad that hockey's over, or you're going to be so relieved that it's over. Nonetheless, it's over, and it marks a new thing. So I think it's really important to just, you're going to have your couple days where you're really sad or pissed off or really, really happy, but then life moves on. Really important to just deload, like just get it out of your system. And you not that you're not thinking about hockey or caring about it, but it's just like, just go have some freaking fun. And for most people, a lot of people say hockey is fun, but it's like, no, just change it. Like, just don't worry about working hard and stuff. Have a week, not a week, 2 to 3 weeks where you don't touch your equipment. You don't worry about working out, having a routine and all that kind of stuff. It's just like actually deload from it 100%. And just go to the movies. Go, like, if you want to do some sports, that's fine, but just like actually let your body relax and recover a little bit. Then from after your 2 to 3 weeks, I would suggest for a lot of people just to take the on ice thing is like totally. You're not going to lose everything if you don't go on the ice right away. But I do understand kids that say, I just want to keep touching the puck, or I want to work on some skill. So I do understand that. If the case is that you really do want to get on the ice and work on skill, especially at this part of the pre postseason, is do it with a very methodical, slow approach. Like what we were talking about earlier is like you can work on shooting, and shooting doesn't have to be like a bagger, right? So you could go on the ice and work on shooting, and a little bit of patterns where you're weight transferring and being very specific on your shooting, or different things like that. Easy stuff. Not easy mentally because you should be concentrating on it, but that's the time to do that stuff, right? That part of the year. And then as far as the gym goes, it's like, yeah, okay, like, Chad Drummond, is that his last name? Chad Drummond from Edmonton, when we had him on our podcast, he says, health science guy, he goes, what you have to remember as a hockey player is you've spent so much time, you're like a fishing pole that bends it like you're trying to catch a fish. If in order for your body to work, you have to release that and let that fishing pole straighten out, and let other muscles do the work and recover. So that's what you need to do, start doing in the gym. Is you got to let that go. So the more that you're on the ice, and the more that you're squatting heavy right away and doing that stuff, you're using your hips and lower back and your quads so much, that's how you get injuries and stuff. So it's straightening out the fishing pole and then building on that.
Yeah.
And why is it important?
Yeah. Why is the break important?
It just is, man. Like, I don't think people understand the toll, like at a serious level, the toll it takes on you. Like hockey, the competition, the winning, the losing. Understand that, but I think also if you don't take the break, I don't think people understand how much they don't work hard while they're in that. So what I mean by that is because I see it a lot with people that get a lot of ice, like even like at the school here, there's a point where it's like, okay, you guys are on the ice too much. So when you're on the ice too much, what happens if you do a hard skating drill, it's not as hard as it should be, or a hard battle drill. It's like because you take it for granted. So it's important to get away from it so that you can be hungry to play again. Like it's the hunger to play is huge, and I know it's for some people. I'm glad they're upstairs making noise. I know for some people it's really really hard, and I can understand some parents and some coaches say, "Man, you got to get back on the ice. You got to work." But you know what? You're not going to lose everything real quick. And I get it. Like I really do get it. You want your touches, and you might think you're going from midget to junior or junior to pro, and you got to do extra stuff. But like the rest is huge, so that you stay hungry, and you appreciate what you have, and that you actually do a little bit of recovery. Because long term, see, the thing is long term. When you're 17 or 14 and you're on the ice all the time, you don't understand that the beating your hips are taking. You have no idea until you hit 25.
I understand it now.
Until you're 25.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Until you're 25 or 24 or 23, and all of a sudden things don't work quite as well. So that's just my thing.
Yeah. So I think my way of looking at it too, from like the taking a break standpoint, is, and like this is something I'm even learning now with just working in general. Like one of the things that was most important to me towards the end of playing junior and then into university was really making sure I had an honest, like good work ethic. That was something that I took super seriously, not until the end of my junior career and into university. Like I didn't have the maturity yet of really understanding what with a work ethic actually means. And so that was something that I took very seriously in my last year maybe, and then when I was going through university, where it was like I was uncompromising about being somebody that everyone knows works hard. Like that meant something to me. Like that was important to me. Like I want people to know how hard I work, because I don't want anyone to ever question whether or not I'm doing the things that I'm saying or whatever, just because I think it leads to good things in life generally, if that is the type of work ethic you have. So it wasn't to get the attention of having the good work ethic. It was more just to keep myself accountable to have the good work ethic, so that I'm doing everything I possibly can to maximize opportunities. Like we talk about with these kids all the time. You want to do everything you can to maximize your opportunities. And that's from a work ethic standpoint, a skill development standpoint, whatever. You want to do the most amount you can to give yourself the best chance, And so for me, I was somebody that took like that very seriously. What I didn't take so seriously was this kind of deload, de-stress thing, and that was something that I didn't pay enough attention to. That was something I didn't work into my my skill set, because it is a skill. Like deloading is a skill, de-stressing is a skill. Being able to calm yourself down is a skill. All of those things are skills that need to be built, and you make progress through the recovery of the work that you do, not from the work that you do. Like the work you do tears you down, it tears you down, it tears you down. If you don't give yourself time to build it back up, that's where the improvement and the gains are made. And so now that's something that I struggle with. Like I struggle with turning it off. I struggle with taking the break. I struggle with giving myself that time to actually de-stress and deload and do those things that I know I should be doing. But because I never made them a skill that I take just as seriously as the opposite side, which is the very hard work, because I never built that into myself, that's now something that I struggle with. So when things get super stressful or super busy or super taxing, it can just start to compound. And for these young athletes, that's where you start to run into, they talk about burnout. They talk about, you get kids that need hernia surgery. You get kids that no longer love the game anymore because it's just always, all the time, the thumb is on them. It's about perform and do more and skate more and work out more and train more and all this stuff. So this compound effect comes in, and that kid, maybe through no fault of their own, never learned how to walk away. And even though you don't want to walk away, you want to keep doing it, you're making yourself walk away because you know that is what's going to lead to a better outcome for you later on. And that's what makes it a skill. Being able to do that is a skill. Being able to say, I know that I want to do this, but it's not what's best for me right now. It's like a diet thing. I know if I eat this shitty food, I'm going to like it, but that's not the thing that I should do right now. I shouldn't eat that stuff right now. I should be focused on this other thing. And it's the same type of mental skill that you need to have. I need to say, yeah, I want to go on the ice. I want to keep skating. I want to make sure I'm still in the gym. I want to make sure that I do all this stuff. But I know that if I don't take this time off to let my body recover, get back to neutral, think about other things, do some other things, play some other sports, do other activities, spend time somewhere else, that effect of hockey is going to keep compounding over time. And then maybe you'll be a person that doesn't bite in the ass later on, but like I don't know very many people that's the case. At some point or another, most high level athletes, they take some of that time away. And if it looks like they keep touching hockey stuff, that makes sense, maybe at a more professional level. But even for those guys, like they take some time away to do other things,
Yeah. Well, I just look at a couple of thoughts on that is, I know it's hard. Like I do. Like there's as a coach. Okay, so like I it's easy to tell someone that's not your kid what to do. You know what I mean? You got no skin in the game. Like I've got kids that I train that, a lot of kids that I train that you always try to give the best advice, but if it doesn't work out, or if you can just say, well, yeah, it might not have been good enough, or you didn't listen, or whatever, right? You don't really. It's not your kid. That's my point. So when I have my kid, it's like I have my professional life is to do this, and I have to give him the same advice as everyone else, and I do. But dude, it's hard, and I understand where parents and coaches and when you have a player saying, like, what if you didn't, like, if you took the month off or 2 months off from May to June, and you took it off and you never touched the ice, but what if I could have improved my shot? What if? And maybe, maybe that's going on the ice and just doing those light things and getting those touches keeps you in tune. I don't know. But then, okay, so that's me with my kid. And then I've changed I wouldn't call it training, but my concern and maybe just because it's older, my concern for what makes a hockey player, it's changed over the last few years because and I'll tell you that in a second. But then you listen to Gary Roberts, for example, and here's a guy with a very successful business, played a million years in the NHL, trains people for a living, and works with Seattle and all these different things. Doesn't want them on the ice. Because you want to get faster. Like basically, like we said, take the fishing pole, straighten it out, recover, get your body healthy, and get proper movements. And we'll work on getting faster, and it translates on faster and stronger, and it translates on the ice, which is 100% true. I saw that with the track coach. I've seen that like with our program here in the track coach, how much it's changed his skating, my kid. So do you listen to Gary Roberts, or you listen to like someone that just thinks maybe you should just get more touches? Like if I'm leaning on it, I listen to Gary Roberts, but then you go, but you don't know my kid. And you're like you know what I mean? It's a really, really hard thing.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
God,
for sure.
it's so hard.
I can appreciate that for sure.
But you know what? The kids, I always look back at this. If someone breaks their ankle, breaks their whatever, Gabriel Landeskog hasn't played in almost 3 years, and he's going to play in the NHL again. He's worked out and stuff, but he hasn't been on the ice, so he's probably lost a little bit, but he's still good enough. Someone breaks a wrist, they come back after 6-8 weeks. It's not like they're dog shit hockey players. Yeah. They get back pretty quick, and that's what I realized more and more as my son gets older, and I'm watching players, and I watch like what's important about hockey. It's not about being fancy at all. It's not. If you have that skill set and that works for you, that's great. But for the most part, it's like you need to be, if you go to a gym and a lot of those kids are getting injured a lot, and you see that. See some gyms like that, yeah, they're good and strong kids and all that stuff, but it's like there's a labrum, there's a labrum, there's a labrum. Okay, something's going on with the range of motion, the mobility. That's probably not taken care of, or is it just a coincidence? Right? If you look at guys, you come from a program where it's just they're all danglers. It's like, okay, that's not the best translation either. Or maybe they put guys that do it. But anyways, success leaves clues again, right? What was my point to that? There was something. Oh yeah. So my training is I realized, okay, working out at our gym and stuff, the program's very good. Most of our kids don't get injured. That's really good. They're stronger, they're leaner, they do the mobility. So like that's a lot of good stuff. They touch the ice. Some don't listen and they think, and that's fine. I get the reason. But I've realized, like, with my group of kids that really pay attention, it's like, let's, like, right now I don't care if you're on the ice, but if you are, like, for example, Yako's going to Guelph, he's a second overall pick. I will take the time with him because he's going to a different league. Like, I've been really with the shooting, really working with the shooting. No dusting, no this, no that. And the great thing, he's asking questions. Good. He's interested, but it's not, we're going to be totally taxing on him. And then he'll be able to take a break and come back at the end of the summer, and we'll turn it up a notch. So that's with my son. It's like, I don't care what you do right now. He comes out and works with us. He's touching the puck. He's not skating. He's just touching the puck, moving the puck, demo some shooting and stuff. And we'll do some touching the puck stuff in July. I don't even care about that stuff anymore. Like, yes, some detailed stuff, and then it's like, get back into like some battle drills, because that's actually what's important. So some skills, some battle drills, and then go to your camp.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah,
play some games.
Now, like,
it's not rocket science anymore.
Yeah, the caveat on all this now is all of this assumes that you have the work ethic in the first place. So that's like just like listening to ourselves over the last 45 minutes here is, we're talking about like not the full 45, but the last little chunk of time, talking about the break, like taking the break, having a break, whatever. And like, you should still take the break, but some people only take breaks, so that's the caveat to this.
Rest is a weapon, but all they'd ever do is rest. They don't actually work.
This is the caveat to the conversation, is all of that assumes that the rest of the time you're doing the work. You're actually putting the work in. And a lot of kids developing the work ethic, which what I said, developing the work ethic is one skill. Developing the ability to step back, de-stress, deload, and all that is another skill. Like, you have to make sure you have the work ethic skill, right? So don't take this conversation as like, see, like, I need to take a break too, if all you ever do is sit on the couch, man. Like, so I just want to make sure that's clear before people say like, well, you shouldn't be taking, you don't need to be taking breaks. It's like, the only reason this conversation makes any sense is if you're hammering the gas pedal all the time, the way that you need to.
Yeah.
So that.
Well, then the other thing to keep in mind is, like, because that's what the track coach asked Charlie a couple of years ago. Can you tell me what you've done during the week? And then she tried to turn the boxing, like, flip the boxing schedule around for the track, because the boxing is like conditioning, right? You're on your balls of your feet, and it's like, it's a cardio workout. So that takes away from speed. So the other thing you have to pay attention to is, like, what is your priority, like, as a player? So if you get drafted in the OHL and let's say you're 6 feet and you're 165 pounds, you're not big yet. So you got to make sure, like, and hopefully you got enough hair on your nuts to make a difference, but you should, right? But some guys at that age, not that much. So, but you hope you hit puberty that you can actually lift some weights. But your priority number one, you're probably not going to put a big dent in the OHL at 16, but priority number one would be bigger and stronger and faster. Like, that's the 3 words, but it actually is priority number one. So if your goal is to put 7 pounds on in the summer, or 10 pounds in the summer, and you go and do a workout, and then you skate for an hour and a half, or go play a game an hour and a half, and then some other activity, like, you'd be taken away from your number one priority. So right. Whereas if you're a kid that you're drafted and you're 6'2", 231, and you're 16 years old, and you probably could use a little bit of trimming down, then maybe the other way is fine. But priority number one, right? That's the other thing you got to think about.
Yeah. It's a constant conversation, man. Like, the off season ramping back into in season, like you said, a lot of people don't really have a plan, and they don't really know what to do. And, like, at least for the start, maybe like the next episode, we can revisit that, of just like what an off season looks like. But for now, like, everyone's season's finishing up. Like, make sure you take some time off, and when you start to get back into it, just ease back into it. It doesn't have to be crazy. Like, I remember I used to when I was especially early on, like first couple years of junior, I would not work out. Like I wouldn't be in the gym when I was like, I remember 15, 16, 17, like during the season, like I didn't have a coach or anything that was saying you should do these things. So I would not be in the gym at all the whole season almost. And then when I got back the first Monday after the season was over, I would like smash my legs and can't walk for like not exaggerating at all. A good like 10 days maybe of like, I can barely walk because of how much I just hammered right back into it as soon as the season was done. And so like it doesn't make any sense. It's not intelligent. That's not something that you need to do. So just paying attention to that little transient period right after the season's over, tryouts are over or whatever for some of the younger kids, taking a little bit of time and then start to ease your way back in, being active, getting into the gym a little bit. Maybe if you want to start getting on the ice to touch it, like that could be fine. But just keeping it appropriate for where your body's at and what you need to be doing, I think is important. So maybe next week you could go over that.
Yeah, and I think lastly, there's always one more, right?
Yeah.
But like, I don't underestimate how good, for various reasons, is playing games like pickleball. But it's awesome. But Charlie had an interview with one of the NHL teams. The scout says, "What do you like to do in your off season?" There's lots of pickleball. And the guy goes, "What? You're 18 years or 17 years old." He goes, "That's for an old guy sport." He goes, "Yeah, but it's a blast. It is. It's fun. Like you're outside or indoor, whatever, and you're not about being weird, but you are working hand-eye coordination and a little bit of agility by accident, right? But you're having fun, right? And you're killing some calories instead of going to the couch. That's a really great way to get back into it." Or, I can't believe squash and racquetball, but squash particularly for me, I can't believe that that's not a more popular sport for people. I took you once, right? We had a blast. But like, I love squash, and it's like, again, you're working. And I wouldn't say have that in mind, but just by default, if you're playing fairly hard, you have to. Well, you gotta be very quick in 5-10 feet. What's hockey? Being the quick starts, but you're doing it with a racket and you're doing it differently. You're activating same muscles, right? And you're learning hand-eye and competitive, like, and all those things, but it's just in a different environment. And I badminton, whatever, like all these different things. It's get in a volleyball league or something like that, just to try different things and be athletic, and you're working on jumping and all these different things, and it's enjoyable. Like I really think kids and teenagers, whatever, that play, get involved in stuff like that.
It doesn't have to be hockey, man. Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You're going to get a lot out of a sport.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
I digress.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good, man. I'm good to cut her off there.
Yep.
Okay. Ciao.